Hi, I'm Eric Bowling in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Let's get straight to our top story. Big developments today from the Donald Trump camp. Late today, the president-elect's former campaign rival, Dr. Ben Carson, confirmed to Fox's Neil Cavuto that he has been offered a position in Trump's cabinet. Also, in a dramatic twist today, Mr. Trump signaled that he is unlikely to pursue a criminal investigation into Hillary Clinton. A short time ago, I spoke with incoming White House Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus. So, Reince, President-elect Donald Trump today said that he was probably not going to pursue prosecution, extended prosecution of the Clintons, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, maybe even the Clinton Foundation. Then there was some discussion with the New York Times. It's a little bit foggy. Will he and will you and will the administration pursue a special prosecutor to prosecute the Clintons?
Well, look, I mean, that's first of all, we don't know where all the evidence is going to lead. But what President-elect Trump was saying was that he would rather look forward instead of backwards, and that his eyes right now are looking through the windshield, not the rearview mirror. And so that was the point he was making, and that, look, he's not going to spend his time sitting around thinking about how he's going to prosecute Hillary Clinton. He's going to think about the future of America for all Americans that are out there. That's where his focus is, and that's really what he's saying. Now, I'm sure if something comes around that is some kind of bomb that we don't know about, we'll have to take a look at it. But his point is he's looking forward to leading this country. He's not looking to, further injure the Clintons, but he's got the right attitude about leading America.
So the investigation will continue. As of right now, he'll let the investigation play out and wait to see what evidence comes forward before he decides whether to further prosecute or special prosecutor recommendation.
I think that's fair, but he's also saying, as far as he's concerned, he's moving on. Now, there are congressional investigations going on that I would assume will continue to go on, but he's saying, as far as he's concerned, it's time to move forward and heal America and lead.
Okay. So there have been meetings. Yesterday, there were meetings with television executives, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, and CNN. And then today, there was a New York Times meeting specifically for the New York Times. Now, as high profile, how did New York Times score a one-on-one interview with Donald Trump, and on the record for that matter?
Well, first of all, the meeting yesterday was important to start building relationships again in the media. Obviously, we don't feel like we've been treated very fairly by the media, and I think most people watching would probably agree. But you do have to try to heal and move forward and build relationships so that things can get better, or at least a little bit more fair. As far as today, you got to look at it as like your hometown paper. My hometown paper is the Kenosha News, and I love the Kenosha News. It's something that's part of my life every day. It just so happens that the New York Times is a massive organization, but that's his hometown paper. And I think that's the reason why he felt it compelled to just give them an opportunity to ask him questions, and he did really, really well. He did a fantastic job.
All right, Ryan, yesterday you guys met with the network executives. I was talking about that earlier. Over the weekend, though, on the Sunday shows, you sat down with Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, and New York Times tweeted this after that meeting. They said, quote, this is a tweet from NBC News. NBC News tweeted this, and here's the quote. Can you rule out a registry for Muslims, asks Chuck Todd. Quoting you, now, I'm not going to rule out anything, says Reince Priebus on Meet the Press. Now, before we have you weigh in, here's what actually went down on Meet the Press. Watch.
Can you equivocally rule out a registry for Muslims?
Look, I'm not going to rule out anything, but I wouldn't. We're not going to have a registry based on a religion.
So you clearly said you're going to have a registry based on religion, yet they tweeted out almost looking like you said you're not going to rule out a Muslim registry. Is this some of the bias that you talked about with the network executives yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the case. I mean, President-elect Trump has been talking about a standard that is very reasonable but firm, in that if you come from a state that is harboring or training terrorists, or from a region that's harboring or training terrorists, then your immigration status or your ability to enter the country will be temporarily suspended until a better vetting system is in place. It has nothing to do with blanket restriction based on religion. I've been very clear about that. But here's the problem. So has President-elect Trump. I mean, it's been since June that this position has been articulated every single month through 3 debates, and here we are today continuing to talk about a registration based on race. And all we're saying is it would be nice if after repeating something 50 times, you wouldn't get the same question with again, a misrepresentation in a tweet. So we've been clear. And I think the American people spoke on November 8th. They were tired of it, and Donald Trump won in an electoral landslide.
Mm-hmm. Also, and let's take that one step further. Today with the New York Times, you know, this alt-right controversy, this alt-right meeting, and Donald Trump has disavowed the alt-right a couple of times. And in fact, he did a couple of times in this New York Times meeting, yet it keeps coming up. Can you explain to us, explain to our viewer what the alt-right controversy is and where Donald Trump is on that?
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps coming up because it seems like this is the type of thing that the media loves to talk about, even though we keep saying we disavow it, we want nothing to do with it, we don't like it, we don't condone it, we want nothing to do with it. I mean, by name, by parade over the weekend, by persons that we don't like and don't want to be a part of. I mean, I don't know how many different ways and different twists and turns we can say we want nothing to do with it before people will just stop asking the same dumb question.
But Ryan, say we're doing in the New York Times interview. I was watching the tweets. They were live tweeting the interview or the meeting, and there were several questions on the alt-right kept coming up after Donald Trump disavowed it 1 or 2 times.
Well, that's true. And then reporters may have come in late and then gone right back to the question that was already answered during the first part of the meeting. You know, look, we continually disavow. We will always disavow these folks, but it also is unfair to constantly go to any interview and answer the same 10 questions every single time so that they can keep perpetrating the same themes in these stories. So we want nothing to do with it. We want to move forward, and we want to lead. All
right. On the transition, let's move to the transition. Paul Ryan sent a letter today to President Obama saying basically stop with easing the sanctions on the Iranians. Stop with the Iran nuclear deal. Let the incoming president-elect handle that when he becomes president. Number one, do you want to weigh in on that request?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with what Paul Ryan's saying. Let President-elect Trump deal with Iran because that deal is a total train wreck, and everybody knows it. And anything that we can do to get rid of it, we will. Now, there's parts of it that may be very difficult to get out of, but we're going to take a fresh look at it, put fresh eyes on that deal. And I can assure you, if anyone can renegotiate that deal or do something about it to make it better for the American people and not start a nuclear arms race in the Middle East, it's going to be President-elect Trump.
All right. What about anything else? Anything else you want? Any other requests of the president to just leave alone? Just leave the keys to the door as he leaves the White House. Don't mess with any of these other policy initiatives.
Well, they've actually been fairly cooperative in regard to not appointing positions that don't need to be appointed, and they've been cooperative with the transition. But I would just say that, you know, if you look at what's happening in the transition, you have a president that's coming in, that's talking about bringing America together, that's working with people across the aisle, that's talking to our current president, that's taking the steps to interview the best and brightest people in America, and you're going to be seeing appointments that are going to make you very proud of where this president is taking the country, and we can't wait for the future.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Ryan Priebus, everyone, Chief of Staff for President-elect Donald Trump. And Ryan, have a great Thanksgiving to Sally and the family. Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, too.